Ladies and gentlemen, CNN releases Trump tapes allegedly revealing classified information, and then promptly at 55 seconds into it, the journalist speaking to Anderson Cooper says, "Oh, by the way, the information was never verified." Bob Woodward, CNN, never verified actually the information or the allegation was never proven that Trump actually revealed classified data, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that in the title, and we're going to state how harmful he is to national security, Trump, the Orange Menace, and he really did something really bad, but we can't verify what he did. So you have Trump, who's actually stating, like, he's speaking to Bob Woodward in the manner that a president, that somebody I want in the Oval Office would communicate. He wants good relationships with adversarial countries. He doesn't want to go and engage in a belligerent, hawkish, militant foreign policy. Okay? He doesn't want conflict. If heaven forbid, if God forbid, another country crosses a certain line, that's a different story. But Trump was always the type of person not to want a new type of Cold War hysteria, a McCarthy-era domestic or foreign policy. Though that's the Democratic Party. They're the ones who've obsessed, never accepted Trump defeating Clinton, and then react in utter indignation when Trump, behaves in the same manner. But the tapes, if you listen to them, here's the CNN link is here Trump revealed classified information to Woodward in new tapes. There's no classified information, and if there was, Bob Woodward and CNN would be in big trouble. See, it's like you use basic logic. If they're revealing classified information on tapes, it's not Trump is not the issue here. It's Bob Woodward and it's CNN. Okay, just releasing it to the world. Just trying to make Trump look bad, and let's just say Trump actually did reveal classified information. If indeed he did, you wouldn't have Bob Woodward, and you certainly wouldn't have CNN publicizing it or actually playing it for the entire planet to hear. But he didn't. That's the point. So CNN does two things at once. They accuse Trump of revealing classified information, and then they don't verify it. They admit that it's not verified. They admit that there was no classified information released within the tapes that they published. And here's classic propaganda against Trump. Accuse him of everything under the sun, never verify it, just like the Steele dossier that Clinton purchased that was funneled through the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other agencies to just go after an incoming president. So everything, it's always projection with Democrats, okay? They're the ones who never accept any results that don't suit them. If a judge rules in favor of Trump, oh, who is this judge? Oh my God, democracy's at stake. Democracy is now a synonym for the Democratic Party's political objectives. That's it. It's not democracy. When they don't get what they like, the Supreme Court should be abolished, the Supreme Court should be packed. They're all over the place all the time. They want to protect the planet. Then they also flood 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. I don't know if that's part of any Green New Deal or climate accords. But here you have a situation where if you look, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the CNN link, and you could just go on YouTube. Here, Trump revealed classified information to Woodward. Actually, it'll be below in the description section. Okay, on minute at about 55, 56 seconds, 54, 55, 56, 57 seconds in, you can hear the journalist state categorically, and nothing was verified. Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. I might not have a live stream today. Actually, I will. I'm not exactly sure what time, though. So stay tuned. I'm not exactly sure what time, but stay tuned. Check the channel every couple of hours to see when the live stream is. But hit subscribe. Hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel, the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll be doing segments there. I will have a live stream today. I just don't know what time. But But ladies and gentlemen, you have the Senate going Republican. So the Republicans, all they need to do is either win Arizona or Georgia. Georgia very likely will go to a runoff between Warnock and Herschel Walker. In the runoff, Herschel Walker will very likely win, or almost certainly win. The reason is because you see the Dow Jones go up, it's gonna come crashing down within a week or 2 weeks. It'll probably, the market crash that we've seen this year with 25% of retirement income lost and 8 to 9% inflation and 8.5% real wages down according to the Dallas Fed, 8.5%. How much money are morally superior liberal Democrats going to be taking from their pockets just to ensure Trump doesn't tweet and preside over a great foreign policy and a great economy? But you're going to see the economy absolutely tank right before midterms, like the worst possible thing for Democrats. Blake Masters is doing very well in Arizona. He was down like 12 points. Okay, Fetterman's going to lose in Pennsylvania. Laxalt will win in Nevada. And you're looking at a complete meltdown for Democrats because they stand for nothing. They want to protect the environment and the climate, and they beg OPEC for oil. OPEC says, yeah, you know what? Here's something for you. 2 million barrels. They cut 2 million barrels of oil a day. And that forced Biden to release 15 million more barrels of strategic petroleum reserves, which we're at a 40-year low in terms of oil reserves in this country. Okay, because Biden's energy policy stinks. Democrats don't know how to govern. They have a bucket list of things they want. Well, we're going to save the planet. Oh, okay. They reversed course on everything. They got sued by oil and gas associations initially, then reversed course, said, oh, yeah, we reversed the ban on federal lands, and hundreds of millions of barrels of strategic petroleum reserves, and we're begging OPEC as we want to decarbonize the country and the planet. So they don't even believe any of the nonsense. They don't believe in any of this Green New Deal economy. They don't even believe in it. Okay? They just say things to preach and pontificate and condemn and judge. That's it. That's it. They don't believe in a lot of things. Okay, we won't get into the list of things they really don't actually believe in, but just claim to believe in. But you look at the way Democrats reacted when Trump defeated Clinton, and then, oh my God, how dare Trump not revere democracy? So you can see that, and then you have just the utter hypocrisy. Watch on this channel. There are shorts on this channel where you can hear the Honorable Director James Comey stating Hillary broke laws. He states that in his own words. He states that. I don't say it. He does. He said, well, there were violations of the statutes pertaining to the handling of classified data, but no reasonable prosecutor would indict. And all of the email chains that were on Clinton's servers, they were born classified emails that were classified when they were sent and received, all the things that are campaign and she stated were not, didn't happen, actually happened. The people who lie the most, the people who believe in the most conspiratorial nonsense are people who vote Democrat and the Democratic Party. They're the ones who believe that a Steele dossier was accurate or raw intelligence. It was literally purchased by Trump's direct political rivals. They utilize the United States government against Trump, okay? And you have an endless example of Michael Horowitz stating, oh yeah, here's bias there, and there were other agents that were against Trump, and here we have Strzok saying we'll stop Trump. Oh, but it couldn't find any testimony or documentary bias. You're never gonna have a test. You're never gonna have somebody admit that they didn't like Trump, so there was no testimonial bias, and you're never gonna have any documentary bias saying, "Oh, we can't stand Trump, we're gonna set him up and frame him." But there were a million examples that Horowitz stated in the IG report, and that's also on this channel. The Federal Bureau of Investigation does not like Trump. That is a short, well over 6,000 views, where you actually hear Horowitz state, "Oh yeah, there were more people at the bureau that had it in for Trump." That's how bureaucracy works, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't, like, in a bureaucracy, the people hiding behind their bureaucratic post don't say, oh, we are going to set up and frame a rival within the company or within the government or an adversary. They do so through bureaucratic means. It's not rocket science. And so when they accepted the Steele dossier, that had nothing to do with whether or not Igor Danchenko lied to them, or whether or not Sussman lied to them. If you want to be lied to, if you want to be duped, then you're the problem. Then you're in on it, okay? It's like a bad relationship with somebody or an unhealthy, dysfunctional relationship. At a certain point, you can't blame the other individual. At a certain point, it's your fault because you either want to be duped or you either want to experience, discomfort, venturing off into other things. But the Federal Bureau of Investigation was in on setting up and framing Trump. So that's why Durham wasn't successful, because he couldn't... Durham wasn't successful because he needed the Federal Bureau of Investigation to actually state, oh yeah, Sussman and Danchenko lied. But they weren't going to say that because they needed a pretext. They needed a pretext to investigate Trump. They view him as a menace to democracy. Democracy being never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts and sending hundreds of billions of dollars to a country invaded under the watch of Democrats in the Oval Office, the House, and Senate. Democrats have created a new Cold War. For what purpose, we don't know. And there's speculation as to what the purpose is. But they didn't have a problem with you-know-who when there was a Russian reset and Hillary was Secretary of State. And 20% of U.S. uranium capacity was being sold to the Kremlin. Eventually sold. And even Snopes states, only President Obama could have vetoed the sale. So the issue of classified data, it's like, he was a former president with the power to declassify. Now, will they indict him? I think they will, ladies and gentlemen. I think they will indict Trump. They won't be able to convict him, although they're going to throw a Hail Mary pass and just, hope a D.C. jury has it in for Trump. Okay, these people think that he's the embodiment of all evil on the planet. They are completely delusional. You have people obsessing over Trump. They would rather have 25% of their retirement account evaporated. They would rather have 8 to 9% inflation and 20% inflation for food and rent, and close to 20% for food and rent and energy. Actually, well over 20 for energy. And so they would rather pay more to live in the United States of America. They would rather lose money than have Trump in the Oval Office presiding over a record low in poverty, which is a fact. If you're a hardcore socialist or you're on the left, you care so much about poor people. We had a record low in poverty. We had less poor people with Trump. Less, not more. We have close to 15% poverty now. So, and you have inflation. Again, it's far more than 8 to 9%. Inflation is a tax upon the poor. They're paying the most in terms of inflation. You know, when Bernie Sanders says, the billionaires are making out more than anyone else, the people who suffer the most, which is more relevant to everyone, are people who aren't making enough to make ends meet. And inflation is hurting them the most in Biden's America. And we won't even talk about crime. We won't even talk about people doing absolutely insane things. I mean, there are things taking place in this country now that we weren't hearing about when Trump was in office. I mean, there were always, in a nation of 320 million people, there were always going to be people out of their minds here and there. But now it's like every single day you see something, you hear something. And I mean, that's, I think, also a result of Democrats and experts and morally superior, highly educated individuals pushing to shut down economic activity 2 years ago, traumatizing the entire planet, country, because of you know what. And this is what Democrats do. They'll say, well, this is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. And then they'll make it into this cataclysmic doomsday scenario where if you don't listen to them, if you don't listen to everything Democrats say, shutting down the economy, Green New Deal and decarbonizing the planet, as they then flood 200 million barrels of American oil into the economy and beg OPEC. And if you don't listen to them, it's the end of the world. But what they'll do before that is just traumatize everyone with nonstop coverage of how the planet is going to cease to exist if you don't listen to Democrats. And you saw that the past 2 years. They do the same thing with the climate. They do the same thing with every other issue. And then they repackage, they cloak and camouflage all their inequities, all their corruption within this cloak of democracy. Well, if Trump doesn't revere our success, well, it's horrible for democracy. It's like, you didn't care. You never even accepted Trump one day, not even one day. I can't even say what Madonna wanted to do. Which she stated in a speech in Trump's inauguration. You have Hollywood also, by the way, going after Trump for like 6 years. Hollywood's like the epicenter of immorality in this country and the world. I mean, criminality also. And these are the people preaching and pontificating. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. The Senate's going Republican. The House is obviously going Republican. Impeachment's around the corner. It doesn't matter what McCarthy said. Pelosi said the same thing. They almost have to indict Trump because you're going to have Democrats on the defensive for the next 2 years. Impeachment of Joe is linked to Hunter's criminality, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter committed crimes, felonies. Far more extensive than what he's being a plea deal or indicted on. So the graft and bribery lead directly to Joe. That's according to the New York Post and other publications, Daily Mail, Federalist. There's a reason that Joe was meeting with Hunter's business associates. It wasn't for altruistic purposes, okay? It's called graft. Just look up Tammany Hall, you'll understand. That's a felony. Huge, big problem for Democrats. Give me your thought. And so they almost certainly have to indict Trump. Everything they accuse Trump of, Democrats have done infinitely worse or marginally worse, but worse nonetheless. And their best defense is a good offense. Trump is terrible. Trump is a maniac. Trump this. And then they're the ones actually committing the crimes. Okay, a server with top secret intel, that's a crime. Comey admitted to that. Hunter and Joe, felonies. They still haven't found a crime with Trump. They just accuse, investigate, have this cloud over Trump, and then I think what they'll do is, despite the precedent of Clinton and Bill Clinton with sock drawer full of classified data, I mean, it's unbelievable. And other presidents, President Obama had 30 million unclassified documents. How do you get 30 million? Who read at the National Archives 30 million unclassified? They'd still be reading. He left office in 2016. They'd still be reading now, the beginning of 2017. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Be here for the live stream tonight. I should have one. I just don't know what time. Thanks, everybody.